For the final set of features out of Code Insight, Refactoring, and Navigations, let's look at navigations. Navigation is another key strength of Visual Assist, and we have some really useful features here. Rather than have a lot of slides, I'm just going to jump straight into a demo, starting off with the small ones and finishing with my absolute favorite feature in Visual Assist. First, the smallest feature, but actually a feature that is one of the most highly voted requests we have for C++ Builder. A few minutes ago, we looked at automatically creating the implementation or declaration for a method, but it's also really useful to quickly jump between the implementation and declaration. This is a fast way to get between methods, and also just a fast way to get to the class header or a useful part of your code. In Delphi, you can do this via Control-Shift up or down arrow, and we've added this to C++ Builder now too. As you can see, I am toggling between the method we just added in the header in the CPP file entirely via the keyboard. Just as an aside, I've stressed that for Visual Assist you always need the editor cursor to be in the relevant symbol, not just nearby. This feature is an exception to the rule and will work when the cursor is in empty space in the method too. It doesn't have to be in the method name. There are also menu items for this because we think key functionality should be available in menus, not just hidden behind shortcuts, and you can find this in the search menu as Go to Definition and Go to Implementation. These menus are present for Delphi as well now too, which is why they don't have the Visual Assist tomato icon, even though for C++ they're implemented with Visual Assist. The menus let you specifically go to whichever one you want, but the Control-Shift up or down shortcut simply toggles. Let's move on to a major code understanding and navigation tool, Find References. Find References is a tool that lets you find where something in your code, like a class or method or anything, is used or referred to. In fact, Rename Refactoring uses this under the hood, because in order to rename everything, Rename has to know all the references to whatever it's renaming. And it's very useful for you, because Find References lets you find any code that uses the code you're looking at now. Let's try it. What parts of this app use the binary tree method? Right-click Find and Find References. Okay, that's not very many. Let's try something larger. What about the cell type? I can go to Search Find References and it will show me. You can see this type is used extensively throughout the app, and not only does it tell me every reference, but it tries to give a bit of information about the class or method where it's used on the left too, such as this one, where you can see the reference to cell is in the Aldus-Broder method. Of course, I can double-click or press Enter and go there. Find References is not just a code understanding tool, but a navigation tool too. We also have a menu item to find references in Unit. Find References by default looks in your project, and you can click a toolbar button to look in your entire project group. Find References in Unit is similar and just looks in the current unit, which is useful when you're trying to do what is effectively a local search and know you want something in your current code and there's no need to look through the entire app. Note that Find References is not a search. It's based on parsing your code and is a database query. In other words, it's not a text search. And that means that the references it returns are the actual real references in code. The next feature, and wow, there are a lot of features we're shipping, is Find Symbol. This lets you find any symbol that Visual Assist knows about, and this is not just symbols in your code directly, but all the headers your code uses and all the headers they use and so on. Let's invoke it. You can see in the title bar that it knows about 160,000 symbols, and you can search for any of them. I'll type get window, and you can see it updating live. That's very fast response. It's searching constantly as I type through over 160,000 symbols here. You can see it found many results, but selected the most likely, which is the Windows API method getWindow. And this is what I mean about Find Symbol finding anything and knows about the Windows headers, for example, among all the other headers available to it. If I search for something else like grid, you can see it shows the grid header, the macro in the header that's in my project, and a few lines below the grid class. Here I want to demonstrate some of the other search features. I can click a checkbox to search only for symbols in the project group rather than searching everything Visual Assist knows about. And you can see the results changed immediately to a much narrower set. I can also search for only classes, structs, and namespaces, and immediately it shows just the one matching result, the class grid. These are very powerful because find symbol will find anything, and these options help you filter down results. There are also search filters, so I can search for words that begin or start with a certain term. If I type MN, it gives me results containing column and columns. If I put a period at the end, MN dot, it means that I want results that end with MN, and you can see that only matches two symbols. I can also put a dot at the beginning to find only symbols that start with the search term. So just as a quick recap, find references is to start with a symbol in your code and find references to where it's used, whereas find symbol is to find any symbol that exists anywhere. Next, let's have a quick look at GoToMember. This is a small but useful navigation which lists, and lets you navigate to, of course, all the member fields and properties and methods of a type. So if I put my cursor in the symbol, I'll use grid again, you can see that it lists every method and field in the grid type. But it's a bit smarter than that. If I put my cursor in this expression, image viewer arrow bitmap with my cursor inside bitmap and go search GoToMember, it knows this part of the expression refers to a t-bitmap, and it shows me the members there. In fact, I can even put my cursor in the assign method call, and it knows it's a call on the t-bitmap type. And so when I click GoToMember, it will show me the members of t-bitmap. And of course, you can search and filter and go to any of the members. Now, I've saved the best for last. There is one more menu that we have not looked at yet today, and it's my favorite. And that is this menu item, Go to Related. This is, in my personal opinion, the most amazing feature ever, and I have used it any number of times since we first got it integrated. Go to Related's job is to see what you clicked on and let you navigate to anything useful related to it. It is so useful, we've integrated this more closely than the normal main menu or editor context menu. RAD Studio has a feature where you can hold Control, and as you move your mouse, symbols turn into hyperlinks, and you can click them to go to their definition. And in C++ Builder 11.3 and before, we had that. In C++ Builder 12, control clicking on any symbol instead invokes GoToRelated, because one of the related things is going to a definition, that's still there, but you can go to a whole lot more. So while I can use the search or context menu GoToRelated, for this demo I'm going to hold the Control key down and click on things. Let's start small, something basic, a namespace. This app has a namespace maze, which is used in multiple areas, and you can see it used here in this method. If I control click on it to invoke GoToRelated, I get a menu popping up, and this lists all of the definitions of the maze namespace. If I expand the menu, you can see everywhere that I have defined the namespace. And of course, click one to go there. Now this might give you a hint where this feature is going. Let me now click on a member variable named mpgrid. The menu pops up and I can go to the declaration. Great, that's where it's defined. But I can also go to the types of the variable through this types of symbol menu. And this variable is a unique pointer of grid. And you'll see Visual Assist knows that, and both are listed here and I can navigate to either. This means that you can find and navigate to the various types that make up a type, in that Visual Assist will allow you to separate the template specializations and navigate to each one. Even better, I can also invoke the GoToMember dialog for both this variable and even for the form that it's a member field of. You can start to see what we mean here by GoToRelated. It picks up anything useful and lets you go there. But we are just getting started. One of the key things about object-oriented architecture, like C++, is polymorphic inheritance. So let's find a class that inherits from other classes, and in turn has other classes inheriting from it. A good example is tCustomButton in the FireMonkey framework. Of course, This works for any class at all, VCL classes, your classes, anything. If I control-click the type name, tCustomButton, we can go to the definition and go to a member. We can also go to the constructor, which is useful. But what's really neat is that you can find the ancestor classes for this type. Here, when I mouse over base classes, it shows all the ancestors. I can click to go to any of them. What's equally useful is that I can see the derived classes when I mouse over the derived classes submenu. Note the caret symbols that show how deeply nested the inheritance is. This lets you at a glance see what classes inherit from a type anywhere in your project group and go there. This works clicking any type, so even though I'm now at the tSpeedButton declaration, I have the type name tCustomButton on screen and I can control-click that to see the same menu. Or I can control-click any other type. What about tBasicAction here? You can see how it has 3 ancestors, but has quite a few derived types, and note again that you can see how derived they are by how indented they are. This is incredibly useful. It lets you navigate through the entire inheritance tree of your software, starting from any point in that tree up and down. But it doesn't stop there. What about virtual methods? Let's try tBasicAction and I'll go to its constructor. Again, control-click to invoke goToRelated. There's a virtual update method, and if I control-click that, you can see that this time, because I clicked a method, instead of a derived type submenu, I have a derived symbol submenu. And expanding it, the update method is overridden by 6 descendant methods, and of course I can now go to any of them. This too is incredibly useful because a big part of object-oriented programming is dealing with or understanding what method is actually called, what overrides there are, what method implementations exist, and moving between all the related classes and methods. Now, Visual Assist is not just a simple integration into C++ Builder. It knows about C++ Builder-isms, like properties, and we haven't touched on that yet, but now's a good time. We just looked at virtual methods and seeing the ancestor method implementations and derived overrides. There's a method here that is dynamic, and that is an entirely custom kind of method that is effectively virtual but internally different in how it's called. But to be useful in C++ Builder, we had to teach Visual Assist that dynamic methods exist and what they are. And sure enough, if I control-click this dynamic method execute, you can see it lists the derived overrides of the method correctly. Let's look at properties too. If I control-click one of the properties, you can see that Visual Assist shows where the property has been redeclared in the descendant types. And of course, you can go to member, and the listing of members includes the properties, as well as the backing field and setter method. GoToRelated works on pretty much anything. You can even try it on header files. You can see what other files a header includes, and then even see what files the header is included by. And there's more. We're out of time, but when you install RAD Studio 12, just go around control-clicking on stuff and see what you get.